Welcome to the Winner's Tacklebox, brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. We just wrapped up the Alabama Ambassador 100 first event for 2023 on Lake Wedowee. Joined here with the winners, Brian Elder, Rusty White. Guys had 20.07 pounds on what ended up being kind of a tough day. A lot of these anglers thought it would take low 20s to win this tournament. Guys we talked to on the water during the day said, hey, I'm thinking maybe 18 pounds would win. You guys did a really good job on a tough day. Tell us a little bit about, how you started your day based on practice and what you have to do to kind of get through your day.
We came to win. I mean, that's always how we fish. We fish for big fish, and we fish to win. And we could have gone down the bank and thrown a crankbait and caught 50 or 60 fish like a lot of folks, but we targeted specific isolated structures and isolated cover, targeting big fish, because that's what big fish like. They like isolated cover and isolated structure adjacent to deep water, and that's what we specifically targeted. I mean,
right. That Wedowee Lake's not a very big lake, and it's down 8 feet, so it makes it even smaller. Mm-hmm. So 100 boats is quite a few boats on this lake. We did see a lot of areas when we were on the water where there were a lot of boats kind of fishing the same areas. Is that kind of what led you to this thought process?
We knew that we were going to probably have to fish behind folks just because the lake is small and it fishes small.
Right.
But when we kind of made the decision in the thought process to try to target the specific stuff that we were targeting, we're fishing such isolated stuff that we didn't have anybody else in the way. We didn't have another boat in our way all day long.
Okay. Now, let's get a little more details on these isolated spots that you're calling. What kind of water depth are we talking about here?
The boat was basically between 12 and 22 feet, okay. And we'd be hitting structure that was 2 to 8 feet.
I mean,
it's literally small piles or small clumps of trees, or anything that came out of the deep water that gave them one thing to be the primary kill zone. We were looking for a big fish kill zone.
Okay. So we are here in January. You mentioned about being close to deeper water. Do you think, being wintertime, that really is key? These fish have to have that deep water to go back to when they need to?
I think big fish always want deep water close by. Always. It doesn't matter the time of year. They always want to be able to escape to deep water. And yeah, that's just a big fish live. That's just
okay. So, you get on a high spot, you catch a good fish, and you're thinking, okay, we got to hit more. How do you do that? Are you looking at lake maps? Or how are you taking that information and digesting it and run around the lake and think, okay, there's another spot that's similar? How do you do this?
Lake maps are part of it, but also I think this is my 4th total day ever on this lake, and 3 of them were a month ago. It's looking at the bank, watching how the bank moves, and then looking at your map. You can't just rely on a map.
Right.
So if the bank looks flat and runs deep, then you can look at your map and say, okay, well, there is a high spot at the end of that point, or there's a high spot as you go into this pocket. Plus, visually, as you're riding into a pocket, you can see a cluster of trees.
Right.
Where there's no other trees around it. So, it was really a lot of observation, a lot of hopping around. We hopped around quite a bit today, looking for what we were trying to find.
And also in practice. One of the better largemouth that we caught, caught it out of a tree, an isolated tree standing on a point in 12 foot of water that I found in practice. And I was like, and it was on a point. I didn't catch a fish on it in practice. I fished it for 30 minutes yesterday and didn't get a bite out of it. But I was like, that's the right kind of stuff. And when we were running up the river, I was like, Brian, pull over there. Pulled over there, threw the spinnerbait out there, wound it over the top, killed it, and let it flutter down.
That's key. A lot of guys miss, I think, that prepare for tournaments. They think if I don't catch a fish don't live there. But practice is really kind of developing a plan to get through tournament day. And tournament days, lots of times you have to make adjustments.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he did.
So let's talk about some of these baits that you guys use. I know you got a couple in your hand. What type baits were you using today?
Well, we stuck with red hues for the most part.
Okay.
He threw a spinnerbait more than I did. I kind of cranked behind him and threw a jig a little bit, threw a worm a little bit. They didn't pay off as well as the spinnerbait did. We both cranked different crankbaits. He's throwing a chick magnet, a custom painted chick magnet.
Right. Yeah.
And I was throwing a Blue Ridge roller shad that runs 10 feet. So that one runs probably 5 to 6. This one runs 10, a little bit more on a long cast.
Right.
You know, and when the wind started kicking up, I mean, having that weight transfer matters when you're casting into the wind.
Right.
So, you know, and then the spinnerbait, of course. I mean, you tell them about the spinnerbait. That's yours.
This is the roller, and it's made by True South Custom Lures, and I've been throwing it for 20 years, and I can't tell you how many big fish I've caught on it. There's a couple key features. I mean, one, you can see the big painted eyes on it. I've been doing that for years to my baits, and John started doing it for me when he started making my baits for me. The twist eye on a spinnerbait, everybody wants an R-bend. They swear it makes, you know, more vibration. I will tell you that twist eye doesn't break. Everybody's had spinnerbaits break. That twist eye, if it breaks, you'll lose the blades, you'll get the fish. Versus an R-bend, you get the blades back and you lose the fish. I'd rather get the fish.
Definitely. If they bite, you want to get them in the boat.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, like I said, it was a tough day for a lot of these guys. You guys got it done. Congratulations. It's not easy to win these, and it's your first one, ABT100, and you guys win it. So great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Folks, before you head out on your next fishing adventure, be sure to stop by your closest Academy of Sports and Outdoors, where you'll find all this gear and more.